I bought a Trans Am off of Facebook, and I regret nothing. What is going on, and welcome back to another video. This video is going to be a little bit different from my other ones. The wind noise was just way too bad, so I had to record a voiceover. Let me know what you guys think. If you want more videos like this, please leave a comment below. But without further ado, here it is, my new project. And you guys who follow me on Instagram know I've been teasing you all week with this thing. So finally, here it is. It is a 1986 Pontiac Trans Am. I bought this thing off of Facebook for $1,500. I hooked a U-Haul trailer up to the Tahoe, drove 3 hours up to Connecticut to bring it back. The owner was originally asking $2,700. I ended up paying $1,500 for it. It runs and drives. It does have a 305 with a 4-speed automatic. I think this engine made somewhere between 150 and 190 horsepower. It is the carbureted motor, so it doesn't make the 205 like the multi-port fuel injection did. And the 5-liter was the only V8 offered for 86. It wasn't until 87 when they started offering the 5.7 350 engine. But enough of the history lesson. What do you say we take a closer look at this thing? So as of right now, my plan for this car is pretty simple. We're going to be keeping it relatively stock, but just restoring it back to its former glory. Pretty much what I'm doing with the Tahoe right now. The body is relatively clean. It really doesn't have any rust. I took a quick peek underneath and everything looks to be intact. It does need paint. It's pretty faded and flaking off. That is one thing we're going to eventually tackle, but right now it does need a lot more repairs before I'm worried about the cosmetic stuff. It does have T-tops. I'm very happy about that. I've always wanted them. They leak and the interior smells like moldy bread, but I don't care. I still love them. And for that giant dent in the passenger front fender, well, the previous owner told me that a deer ran into it when he was backing out of the driveway last week. That wasn't in the listing online. I actually saw that in person when I went to pick up the car. So this car pretty much has all the common things that always go wrong with these third gens at this age. You can see the hatch motor is broken. It doesn't pull down, so it only latches. That's something that I'm going to have to repair, and you guys are always asking me about it. All the rubber is rotted out. The door seals are shot. As you know, the T-top seals are shot. The crossbar is rotted out, so I'm going to be replacing that. And looking at the door sweeps over here, you can see the rubber is just pretty much split, dry rotted, falling apart. Same thing for the T-top seal. The rubber is just hard, chunks are missing. I mean, it's a 33-year-old car, so that's to be expected. This stuff's going to have to be replaced regardless. The interior definitely needs some love. I mean, it's all there. The door panels are in pretty good shape, but the seats are ruined. The center console's falling apart. The dash pad is surprisingly in great shape. I mean, seriously, look at this dash pad, third gen guys. There is not one crack or chip or anything in this thing. I couldn't believe it. I don't know if the third gen Firebirds hold up just better than the Camaros, but I have never seen a dash pad this clean before. I mean, seriously, it's like I'm looking at Bigfoot. Taking a look inside the driver's side door sill here, you can see the hinges are worn out, the door is rubbing on the ground effects. Once again, another common third gen problem. I know you guys have been asking me to make a video on repairing this, so finally I have a car that I could do that with. As for the headliner, well, there isn't one. Probably because the T-tops were leaking, it got ruined from all the water coming in. So the previous owner probably just ripped it out. I already have a lead on one, so I'm going to get a used one. We'll swap it in and get that fixed. You can see the back seats are here. They're not in the best shape. You can see they're kind of ripped towards the top. The trunk is filled with a bunch of parts and junk. Once we get to the engine, you'll see what I'm talking about. That's the original intake right there, as well as the old carb. And finally, taking a look at the engine, this is an LG4. I confirm that by the RPO code. For anybody who's not familiar with what I'm talking about, that's the code on the sticker inside the glove box, which pretty much tells you all the features that the car came with. And that did confirm that this is in fact a 5-liter 305 cubic inch engine. Of course, unless somebody came in here and swapped it out somewhere along the line. But all the emission stuff that's on here, all the grime, the kicked on crap, chances are this is the original engine. And as you can see, this engine bay is just absolutely grimy and filthy and greasy. So for any of you guys who subscribe for my cleaning videos on the Tahoe, you will not be disappointed with this one. So now that you guys are all caught up with most of the things that are wrong with this 33-year-old mullet machine, what do you say we finally go and take it for a test drive? So as you guys can tell from the initial startup right there, this thing is incredibly quiet. It has a factory like Walker muffler on it. It's actually brand new. I took a peek under there. It looks like somebody just replaced it. But overall, the engine is very, very quiet. The exhaust is very quiet. Even at wide open throttle, it barely makes any sound at all. It also barely moves anywhere. But aside from that, everything about it is just totally different from the Camaro. I mean, the ride, obviously, it's stock ride height. So driving this car, I don't have to worry about scraping the front end on anything. The steering is actually incredibly tight. It doesn't have that typical like dead spot third gen steering, which is why I put the Astrovan steering shaft in my Camaro. You can see right now as I'm driving straight, I mean the alignment is tracking perfectly straight. It doesn't pull to any side. The transmission seems to shift very, very smoothly. It has all 4 gears. The only thing I am noticing going up hills, there is some pinging coming from the engine. I think that's probably from the timing being off. We're going to be taking a look at that in the next video. I'm going to be adjusting the timing, checking the mixture screws on the car. Also the idle, starting it up from a cold start. The fast idle is set way too high, so I'm going to have to adjust that. But overall, for $1,500, this thing drives incredibly well. I have been driving it to work for about 3 days so far. Driving on the highway, once again, this thing is incredibly smooth. There really isn't much road noise. The thing there is, though, are a lot of rattles. I know most of these cars of this age, obviously, all third gens, they rattle, but this one specifically has this loud metallic rattle coming from inside the instrument cluster. And speaking of the instrument cluster, none of those gauges work. The fuse is actually blown out, and when I actually replace it, they'll work for maybe 5 minutes to maybe an hour, and then randomly the fuse will just pop and go out again. But when the fuse is actually in there working, all the gauges function aside from the speedometer. That may be a cable problem. Also, when I'm driving this thing, I always find it funny that I really don't know where to put my left foot or my hands. You can see in this footage, my hands just shifting between the automatic shifter to my leg to the steering wheel, because just getting in this thing, it feels so much like I'm driving the Camaro. Usually when I get in it, I put my foot through the floor thinking there's a clutch there. So I'm going to cut the music right now just so you guys can hear what it's like driving this thing in its current condition. So right away, you guys can probably hear that rattling noise that I was talking about. That's coming from inside the instrument cluster. I haven't had a chance to pull it apart yet, but we will do that in an upcoming video, along with all the other repairs this thing needs. As I continue driving on the highway here, I'm going about 60 miles an hour, and if you just listen, the cabin is actually surprisingly quiet. With the Camaro, you know, I can hear the rear. I got semi-solid balance. You hear the transmission making noise. You hear the rear making noise. So being able to drive one of these cars completely stock is definitely pretty refreshing and nice. I mean, I love my car and everything, but just driving one of these stock, you can just kind of beat around with it, drive it in any weather. It doesn't have to stay in the garage with worries about like salt and scratches and stuff. It's definitely nice having a car like this and being able to experience third gen again in its stock form. Now, the way this car sits right now as far as the handling is concerned, this thing handles incredible. It's way, way better and tighter than my Camaro was when I first got it. Now, remember, my car was a 2.8 V6, pretty much a base model when I got it. So, obviously, the Trans Am is going to have the better springs. It's going to have the thicker sway bars, as well as the better, tighter steering box. So, that's all going to contribute to better handling. But I'm very surprised with the way this thing handles. I mean, these cars were never really known for their power. They were always known as just being great handling cars for what they were. So for right now, we're going to focus on getting this thing cleaned up, getting all the seals replaced, pretty much getting it back to being a reliable, daily driver in stock form. After that, as far as power goes, let me know what you guys want to see. I've been throwing up the idea of LS swapping this thing with a turbo, leaving the auto. I'm not manual swapping this car, so rest assured, all you drag racing guys, this thing is going to stay auto. I kind of got it because I wanted to LS swap and kind of give you guys a walkthrough on what it takes to do one of these cars for any of you guys who are starting out and want to do it to your third gen. So that's the direction I want to go with it. If you guys want me to do something with a small block or the old school stuff, leave a comment, let me know, because that's also something I would be up for. But I will say this, as long as that 305 is running good, I'm going to play around with that, just mess with it, see what power we can make with it. I mean, it's already in there. Plus the 305 is known for being such a terrible low power engine. I think it'll be cool just messing around with it and seeing how fast we can actually get it to go before the thing finally gives in and blows up. I hope you guys are as excited about this project as I am. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Also, please leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think about this voiceover format. Do you want me to continue shooting this series with the voiceover, or do you want me to kind of do it how I do the Tahoe videos? And for anybody who's new to this channel and just happened to stumble upon this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because there is so much more to come on this thing.